Welcome everybody, it's Aaron and Robert here for a last review of Wanda Vision. This is going to be episode 9 and then maybe talk a little about the whole series all in general, I would say.
Yeah, it's episode 9 called the series finale.
Yes.
So there's been speculation, is there going to be a season 2, that kind of thing. I mean, they certainly, no. Basically by the way this show ends, it's clearly setting up some of these characters for a future journey, but I don't think there's another WandaVision. Like what they set up, so like either. The reason that it was called WandaVision was all of these shows that they were doing and having it be, you know, kind of in that arena. I don't think they're going to do another format like this. So there could be another show that Wanda and or Vision show up in, but I don't think it's going to be called WandaVision Season 2.
I don't think so either.
I think this is a contained story.
I think you're right. This is a very contained story. This was done and over. And they commented they're not doing a season 2, that this is it, supposedly. So, and I'm okay with that.
We didn't get our mystery episode, which both of us were like, we're not getting a mystery episode. It's
People were trying. People were trying to say there may be a 10th
People
episode.
tried to say a lot of things about the show that we didn't get.
Yes. I mean, where do we start?
Well,
I really don't know.
So this is what I will say. As we dive into this, it's hard to separate out, you know, what we got and evaluate what we got and not just try and think what we could have had or what we thought they were setting up but then they weren't. And so it's hard, and I do want to try to make sure that we evaluate what we got and really talk about, you know, whether that worked. And then we can also talk about what some of the things that maybe it seemed like they were setting up that they really never paid off. Okay. Because I feel like we need to be fair to the creators of what they were actually giving us. What they, you know, like we can't be mad that we didn't get, you know, Ultron or Mephisto. Because they didn't ever say that we were going to get those things. Right. Although there were certain illusions that would make you think that maybe we were going to get something like that. I mean...
They did definitely play around with the idea, is it Mephisto? Is it Nightmare? Is it more than just Agatha? Is it this? And it was just Agatha all along.
It was Agatha all along. Episode 7 did not lie to us when it revealed it was Agatha all along. So what do you want to talk... I mean, do you want to talk about the narrative of this episode, or how do you want to get into it?
I mean, that's what I don't know, because it's like... I don't know. It was a good episode, though. This was
the most MCU-ish episode. Yes. I mean, we start off basically with a confrontation, and actually we speculated last week, you know, because we mentioned, like, okay, why did Agatha take it out of the basement? Is she going to try and absorb Wanda's powers?
And she did.
Yeah, immediately. And that's one thing I do want to talk about is Agatha just seems to like talking. She likes to hear herself talk. She's one of those classic villains that's, you know, kind of, not really monologuing, but she does like to offer commentary a lot. And that comes back to bite her, that she does that. Like, Wanda is processing and learning and taking in what she's saying, and she learns some things from that.
And now, I will comment, I like that part because Agatha has helped been a teacher. So in a way, she still was a teacher, which is kind of, okay, that's cool. She still taught her inadvertently, but she still taught her.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I can deal with that.
I liked seeing, you know, in the confrontation right away, I liked seeing Wanda's Civil War move coming back where she's, you know, throwing a car at someone when they're not expecting it, like she did with Iron Man at the airport. Yes. So yeah, just a car coming flying in.
I love the... Wizard of Oz reference. The Schuster's sitting there, and I'm like, that's such a Wizard of Oz reference.
No, I mean, it was the witch. You know?
She was.
It was good.
And it's action packed, like you said. This is very MCU.
Yeah.
So we get them fighting. We get both Visions fighting. So we're gonna call the main Vision that we've seen. We'll call that the Hex Vision.
Hex Vision and then White Vision. Yeah.
We get them fighting. We get a little bit of fake Pietro and Monica. What they're up to. And of course, what else? Everyone else is up to.
And then when Sword comes in, we see, you know, some confrontation with Jimmy and all those things. So I want to talk about, like, you know, obviously right off the bat, it kicks off where the previous episode ended. Yeah. They have their little confrontation, their little fight where Wanda, you know, basically Agatha says, I'm going to steal your powers. Or you can just give them to me. Yeah. You know, like, either way, I'm good. Yeah. And Wanda, you know, starts to see a little decay as she gets some of her power absorbed. Yeah. And then she starts to change her tactics. You know, she throws the car at her. Agatha disappears. Yeah. So Agatha disappears, and then White Vision shows up. Yeah. And Wanda immediately recognizes this is not the Hex Vision. This is not the Vision. She's like, wait, is this my Vision? Like, is this Vision?
Yeah.
They don't explain how he's able to get into the Hex. Maybe because he was Vision, he was able to get past the magic. We don't really know.
I mean, vibranium is very dense, too.
It also could just be that because he's Vision and she has that connection to Vision, he's able to pass through the barrier.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know.
We don't get that.
Doesn't matter.
No.
He shows up and she is definitely taken off guard. This is like the, oh my gosh, is this Vision? He does the Wanda, and then the move that we all saw happening as Wanda did. And it's like, on the one hand, it's like, okay, here's this dramatic moment. And then, of course, Hex Vision shows up to save her. But on the other hand, I'm like, but he's Vibranium Vision. Couldn't he just... Like, wouldn't it be really quick? Like, why? Because he does it for like 8 seconds before Hex Vision shows up.
Exactly. That was true, because I'm like, you're not supposed to have super strength, technically, so...
Squish her like a grape.
I guess.
But obviously, that would not work for the show.
Exactly. Right? Well, she's dead. Now this is Vision show?
Yeah. So Hex Vision shows up, knocks him out of frame.
Yeah.
They have a short little conversation, where they kind of come back together. We haven't, since, I want to say it's about episode 5, they've kind of been on opposite sides.
Right.
Where, we got into the fight was at the very end of episode 5, where he was like, tell me what's going on, all this stuff. Then we had the Halloween episode where he, tried to leave the Hex. He was trying to save people. He didn't know what was going on. And so they really haven't been together at all. And so they kind of have that moment of coming back together and deciding, yes, we're going to fight for this together. Yeah. I thought that was a really nice moment. It was a needed moment. What about you?
I like that part. I think it was quick and easy because it does show they still had a connection. So it's not like we fought and we're done talking. It's like, no, we fought, but now I understand. He's learned from Dottie what happened to him, so he's gained some of his... Darcy. Yeah. And he's gained some of his, not memories back, but now he's understanding where she's coming from a little bit more.
Yeah, and on the flip side, Wanda has also been through a journey where she recognizes, I obviously made some mistakes and did some things wrong. Yeah.
So I think it was a perfect little talk, and it didn't get dragged out, because here comes White Vision again, ready to fight, and here comes Agatha. Yep. Yeah. They're both back and they're ready to fight. And I like that. It's like, okay, we had just enough dialogue to let the story keep moving, and now we're back to the action again.
Yeah, and I liked the Vision on Vision fight where you see that they basically have the same exact powers.
Yeah.
And so the back and forth phasing was really cool.
That was really cool.
I liked White Vision tried to like rip the Mind Stone out of Hex Vision, and then he just like phases through, and then they're like phasing through each other's body parts.
Yes.
And it's just like, it was like,
it's a mirror match.
That is really how it would work. And we'll get to it. I love the way their fight resolved. I think that was one of the best moments of the series.
I think that was the only way that should have resolved. I really do think that.
Yeah.
So going back to Agatha and Wanda, they start going back and forth. She does bring her into the city more, and then she Agatha starts releasing everybody from her spell.
Yeah, it starts with Dottie, who we find out is Sarah.
And has an 8-year-old trapped in her room.
Right, and at first she's just, she doesn't recognize necessarily this is the end of things, right?
Yeah.
Like this is, and so she's like, can you give my daughter, she can be friends with your boys, give her a different part.
She can be whatever.
Just let her out of her room, I want to hold her.
Exactly.
And that's it's not the first inkling, because we already had that with Norm, and we've, seen some of the other things as people have been kind of, I guess you can see their suffering, but this is truly where, we have this character, saying, I want to be able to see my kid.
Exactly.
Like you don't let her out of her room, which means I can't see her. Right. And like you start to get a sense of just how horrific this has been, and then as Wanda's trying to deny it still. She's like, no, this is you, Agatha. I didn't do this. And Agatha's like, no, these are your meat puppets. Let me just cut the strings. And now we have the whole group, all the characters that we've gotten to know: Dennis the mailman, Herb, Mrs. Hart, Norm, everybody, and they're all coming in and basically verbally, attacking Wanda. And saying you have been you gave us like no freedom. Yep. You tell us when to sleep, and when we sleep, we dream your dreams. Your grief is poisoning us. All this stuff. And I mean, you even have Mrs. Hart saying basically like, if you're not gonna let us go, just kill us.
Yeah, like she's ready to die.
And it's like this is dark.
Yeah.
And there is no ambiguity about this, and Wanda does realize this is her. This is what she's been doing. It maybe wasn't intentional. She talks about like, I was trying to give you a peaceful life. That's what I wanted. But clearly that's not what she did.
Exactly. And like Agatha's commented at this point, your spell is broken. You have issues with it. Give me your powers and I will fix it, she tells her. Mm-hmm. Which we know later on she'll say, I can't fix it. It's screwed up. You're like you. And I was like, that's kind of a funny little jab, I thought. Like, yeah. Thank you, Agatha. But yeah, it was an interesting moment because even at that, when they're all verbally abusing her, she kind of loses it again and almost kills everybody in that little circle with like a chokehold, almost like the Force.
Which was again, I mean, it was like in her mind. She didn't say it out loud, but it was like in her mind. She said, like, shut up, leave me alone. Which is almost choking. Like a Watchmen moment with Dr. Manhattan, where it's like, I said, leave me alone, and like he teleports everyone away.
Yeah.
And like it's almost that same thing where it's like her power is so great that when she basically says stop talking, all of a sudden that manifests itself as choking, and she's horrified at what she's done, and she stops it. And that's the moment where she decides, okay, I'm gonna open up the hex, and I'm gonna let him go.
Everybody go, but then we start seeing Vision and the boys essentially dying. I'll say it that way, disappearing, because as Agatha says, they're all part of the spell.
They're tied
either
to it. Yeah.
Keep the spell going to keep your family, or you lose your family and everybody gets to leave.
Right.
So I like that Agatha does have, and a lot of people still think it's a book from the Ancient One's temple.
We know it's the Darkhold.
Yeah, the Darkhold, which is technically the Book of the Damned.
Right.
But we don't know if it belonged to the Ancient One ever. That's one thing we don't know.
Yeah, sure. We don't know where it came from, but we know Agatha has it.
Exactly.
And and she does talk about how there's an entire chapter devoted to the Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
You don't understand this power. It's too powerful for you.
Yes.
That's why you should give it to me.
Yep.
All this stuff. And Agatha clearly wants the power also. It's not just altruistic, like I want, to be able to use this power in the right way. No, she just wants to have power.
Exactly.
But Wanda, she and Agatha basically says heroes don't torture people. All right, so we hear Agatha say, heroes don't torture people, and that's what really inspires Wanda to open up the hex. But when she sees the way it's affecting her family, she does decide to close it back up.
Exactly. Now she still wants her family.
Yeah, of course. And so let's pause there. Let's rewind a little bit, because at this point we have seen Monica and fake Fietro. And she's trapped there. He's keeping her there with his super speed.
And almost super strength.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily super strength. I think it's, he moved his finger at a high speed to do that. That's a power we've seen Quicksilver use. Where, because he's moving so fast, he can seem to have super strength.
Okay.
At least that's how I interpreted it.
I can see that. I can give you that.
And then we've also seen on the outside the hex, we've seen Jimmy arrive at the Sword headquarters. Basically, they
captured him.
Yeah, they captured him. We don't know exactly how, because the last place we saw him was outside the hex when Monica was trying to go in.
Yeah.
He was with a bunch of other Sword agents. We don't know if he was, trying to make it back. We don't know exactly. He's the only one that gets brought into, this headquarters, basically, so Hayward can taunt him. We don't really know why he gets brought in there, other than for Hayward to basically, taunt him. They have a little back and forth, and Jimmy, of course, is able to steal a phone
and a little pin, so he can
a safety pin.
Yeah, and I love it though. We have you wanted Hayward just to be basic bad guy, and he is.
Did. He's a basic bad guy.
But I love how him and kind of Agatha are the typical villains of, here's my monologue. Ha ha ha.
And also, let me tell you this dumb joke. He totally dropped the dad joke. He's like, you could be part of this, Jimmy, if only you had more vision. And I love the way he delivers that line, because he knows it's a joke. It's not sometimes you get these terrible puns that villains give, and it's just are you even aware that you just made a bad pun? In this one, it's this is an intentional bad pun, and you see Jimmy, who is naturally funny, is yeah, sure, whatever, bro.
Good good one.
And I like even Jimmy going, oh, you've convinced me, but too bad. My friends from Quantico will be here within the hour.
Now, Quantico.
Yeah, that's in San Francisco.
Okay. That's what I was like, where's that again?
Yeah, that's the FBI headquarters. I think that's just what he would say about, my FBI backup is going to be here in the next hour. That's really what he said.
Okay. That's where I was a little lost. I was like, why does he mention that? But I forgot it is okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so, Hayward says, you're bluffing. They throw him in a very non-secure type of area where he's able to immediately get his hands free and make a phone call with the cell phone that he stole. And basically, we find out, yes, he was kind of bluffing because then he says, hey, can you get here in the hour, please?
Like, please hurry. I need you now.
But I like Jimmy, again.
I love his character.
I don't mind that, that's kind of very convenient for him to be able to steal a phone and do all those things. Like, I don't mind it because I like Jimmy.
I don't. The phone is the only thing I would say is convenient because no one has a lock on their phone. Like, that was like, okay, because like nowadays everyone has a lock on it.
And also, like, everyone would note, like, you would notice if your phone was missing, like, right away.
Exactly.
Like, and so, Anyways, so we say all that to, like, fast forward up to the moment when Sword comes in, because we get a second scene with Monica where she's actually able to figure out that this gentleman is under the control of Agatha, and yes, his name is Ralph Boner, which then he even laughs about, the boner joke. Now, there has been a theory floating out around this, which I guess we'll talk about at the end.
Okay.
But she's able to subdue him, see that he's being controlled by Agatha, by this necklace. She takes it off. He kind of snaps out of it. And
he's a coward.
And the scene cuts, right? So now we are arriving back in the middle of town. The Visions are fighting one another. The boys who had been previously waiting in their home, kind of have this moment where Billy is able to connect and realize that his mom needs help. So they rush off to the town square. So everybody's arriving at the town square. We get the Visions facing off in the library. Let's talk about that scene. Oh. The ship of Theseus. Basically just using philosophy.
Yeah.
And talking about what, this is really interesting, and this is the type of thing that's been going on as long as there's been stories about robots or sentient things. There's been, what does it mean to be alive? Conversations. Exactly. What does it mean to be you? And so this is...
he even says, I want to add this part, the White Vision says, my directive is to kill Vision.
Right.
And this is what sparks the conversation.
Right.
Because he says kind of like, who is Vision then?
Right. It's basically, he says, I'm just, I'm trying to remember exactly what he says. He's like, I'm the provisional vision, I think is what he says. Something like that. And you get a great moment where White Vision is like, I request elaboration. Like, you need to explain what that means.
Which, to me, is such a Vision thing.
Absolutely.
Like, he would stop fighting, I think, and just, please, continue. Like, what are you talking about?
He wants to understand. Before he takes any action that, can't be undone, he wants to understand what's going on.
And I think, I like this, though.
Yeah.
I like that it wasn't just straight up, okay, who's eventually going to get the lucky punch and win?
Yeah.
It's like, no, let's talk. And I'm like, this is, because Vision to me is still, he's almost a philosopher.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I think he'd rather talk it all out than ever use any of his abilities.
Yeah, he doesn't want to, resorting to violence is his last. He doesn't want to do that. He would rather reason with people. He would rather talk it out and all those things. And so, having these two visions, which, again, this just brings back the Paul Bettany quote talking about how, this character that hadn't been revealed yet that, he's always wanted to work with, and our scenes together are dynamite and all that. And, he was talking about himself, and he's talking about this scene, and this scene is great.
I love him for that.
And
I will thank him for it.
Yeah, it was a great troll job. But this scene where they go back and forth about the ship of Theseus, which I'd never heard of, but it is like a true thought experiment. I don't know much on it. Where basically we get a quick recap of what it means, which is, there was this, Theseus was like a Greek
sailor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was some sort of, like in the vein of an Achilles or a Hercules, or, he was a demigod or, whatever it was. And so when he returned to port and his ship was basically put in a museum, and it's an old ship, it's a wooden ship, and so in order to maintain it for the museum, this wood is rotting, let's replace a plank. And so at what point does it stop being the ship of Theseus? And okay, now that we've replaced all those planks, what are we doing with the old planks? If we built the ship again with the old planks, would that be the ship of Theseus?
Exactly, minus the rot, because what makes it the ship of Theseus? The rot or the wood at that point?
Right, and it's a really interesting conversation that there's no true answer for in philosophy, but these two visions come up with an answer for it.
They're both the ship of Theseus.
Right, and then you have Hex Vision saying in the rot is the memories.
That was such a beautiful line right there. I was like, I liked it. I really did like that line. And I liked how he told him, you're a cybernetic
carbon-based synthezoid.
Yeah, synthezoid.
Is what he said.
So they cannot get rid of your memories, but they can block them.
Right,
they've been suppressed. As White Vision understands now, an easier weapon to control without his memories. Now, I will say this. I did not like the facial expressions of White Vision. But because it was kind of like this weird
he kind of had a sneer all the time.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit odd. I think it was more just to clue you in that he was not all there.
Yeah, he's half a man kind of.
And also was his directive is born out of anger and hate and all those things, and so that's just kind of what he's manifesting in that moment.
That makes sense.
But it did look odd. I'll grant you that. But we see him get his memories back, and we see flashes from Age of Ultron, from Civil War, from Infinity War. We see all these flashes of his memories. But then in that moment, once he's just recovered those memories, he flies away. That caught me off guard. I will say, as they were talking about it, I was a little bit worried that what they were going to do was merge and become one, and I was like, I don't know that I want that to happen. But him just flying away, I thought was odd.
It was odd. I just want to comment, before he flew away, I liked how the eyes went more human.
Yeah.
Then the human look of him came back. The snare kind of went away, the eyes went more to our normal pupils. I did like that effect. I just want to show that shows that he's maybe back, maybe not. I don't know. But the flying away though was
it was weird because in my and it was almost like I need to go process what I've just been data dumped with. Yeah. But on the other hand, he's so fast at processing that I would have expected he could do that very quickly and then make his choice from there. That's not what we see. Once he flies away, we don't see him again.
Exactly.
He's obviously out in the universe. I'm sure we will see White Vision again. He now has the memories, but will he feel like he's the same person that he was before? He doesn't have the Mind Stone.
But I think you said it last week, or maybe it wasn't a week. The Mind Stone, if we remove it, it would still be Vision. They thought he's still Infinity War.
Well, what they talked about in Infinity War is that the Mind Stone is a part of who he is, but it's not all of who he is.
Exactly.
He's all these other things also. So there is Vision there.
Yeah.
But is it wholly Vision? Is he still going to feel that love for Wanda? Or is he, even though he has those memories, he won't feel like that was really him, and he'll be detached, and, he'll maybe go start the West Coast Avengers.
Right, exactly. Well, in the comics, and that's the whole thing, he does come back with no emotion, essentially. Right. Yeah. And he only stays with Wanda because he feels he was promised to her, so it's an obligation at this point. So I'm curious on how they're going to do it in this one. But I do want to comment, I love how everyone was calling this going to be the House of M, and it was not. Let's say that right here, because this is where it all turned in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, and then, so once he flies away, we get, now the scene, it's kind of happening simultaneously with this, is all of the Sword agents show up. We get Agatha. Basically, they see someone floating in the air, and so let's fire our guns.
Okay, let's one floating in the air.
And she, kind of makes a comment. Same story, different century. There's always torches and pitchforks for ladies like us, Wanda.
I love that line.
And I don't know, she lifts them up in the air and then drops them, whether that's going to kill them or just seriously hurt them, whatever it is.
Yeah.
She clearly has no regard for any of them.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
Wanda saves them,
the hero.
Protects them. kind of stops their fall and lets them come to the ground. And then she makes that, like, boys, take care of the military.
Oh my God,
Which was great.
I loved it.
And we get, basically, Billy freezes them all. And they stay frozen. I don't know if you caught that as the scene goes on. Like, they stay frozen.
Yes.
And was it Tommy?
Tommy,
runs around, takes all their guns, whatever, puts on, like, hat and sunglasses. And
I did love, though, that he froze them, and that still gives me that Magneto feel, though.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, it's still...
he's using those powers, those Scarlet Witch hexy powers, whatever it is. Does that... And Wanda at this point she disappears.
Yes.
And we don't know exactly where she's gone. Agatha doesn't know exactly where she's gone.
They
kind of fight each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And it is weird because we've never seen her be able to just disappear before. So is this just because she's fighting another witch? She's tapping into more magic?
Well, I guess in Age of Ultron, she did get the drop on everybody. So you could say she snuck behind them, but I think it was a little more, maybe... I don't know.
There wasn't, we've never seen that she's been able to just be invisible.
Exactly.
Right? So that was a little bit weird. I will grant you that.
But then, for me, the weird part I'm going to say on this one, this is where I feel like there's a little plot hole. You're going to tell me Agatha's just like, oh, she disappeared. Okay, I'm just going to stand here now and wait for her. Because they don't fight after that. They don't.
Not right away, yeah.
Yeah, what comes next is where she comes up and sneaks up behind her.
Right.
But I'm like, Agatha didn't be like, maybe I should do a spell or something to figure out where she is. No, I'm gonna stay on the roof and see what happens.
Right. I'm just gonna check it out. See what's going on.
Typical villain, just sat here, wait.
Well, and on one hand, she is also just waiting for Wanda to attack her.
Yeah, because she can absorb the power.
And she does. We see her do that. With the what is it? I'm trying to remember exactly when it is. I think it is right before this moment, when she kind of protects her family, and Agatha,
it was right before
absorbs all that and takes her, takes that extra power.
Yeah, because then both her hands go black, and that's when she's talking to the boys to go fight the army. While Visions are fighting.
I think that's right before the Visions have their face off.
Yes, it's right before that. Yeah, because he's right there in the like that protective bubble she did.
Right. And then, while he's off fighting the other Vision, and she goes and disappears, Sword shows up, they all get frozen except Hayward because he was sitting in his car, and he gets out and just decides to unload a clip.
Oh my God.
At 2 kids.
I can't believe he did that. I'm like, typical jerk bad guy.
And this is the thing.
An entire 8 rounds.
We've been talking for, 4 or 5 weeks about this guy's like a villain, he's a jerk, he's a dick, all these things,
everything,
and this was a level I did not expect it. Like, this is cartoonish villainy. Like, I'm gonna shoot at kids. Now, on the one hand, is he saying they're not real, and so it's not a big deal? But on the other hand, I think he's just this type of guy.
Oh yeah,
where he's just like, these are witnesses and they need to die anyways, so I might as well do it. Obviously, as he's shooting them, Monica shows up. We see her make the hero choice, not knowing that that her powers are going to manifest in this way.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what... And I wasn't here the week where she actually went through the hex.
Yes.
But I had the same moment there, and I really like it here. Monica is truly the hero of this show, along with Vision. And part of what makes her a hero is that she is making choices that are heroic choices regardless of what the consequences to her are going to be.
Exactly.
When she decides to go through that hex, she doesn't know she's going to get superpowers. She doesn't know she's going to make it.
And she doesn't even know she's going to come out her on the other side.
Right. She thinks she's going to make it, but she doesn't know.
Yeah.
When she jumps in front of these bullets, she does not know that she's going to be able to have them phase through her and not harm her and also not harm the kids. Like, her stepping in front of the bullets in that moment, she's sacrificing herself.
Yeah, she's expecting to die.
Yeah, this is very much, this is Captain America stuff.
Yeah.
This is like, you lay down on the wire. Like, this is what you do.
Yep.
And so I have really come to love this character.
I have too, and I think my favorite part, she realizes she stopped the bullets. But then, like you said, it's a very Captain America of her, which I love that.
Yeah.
But she sees the one bullet, and the look of like, oh crap, I can't stop that one.
Yep.
And it flies by, and she goes in slow-mo, and then Billy just stops it.
And like, and you can see how happy he is.
Yeah.
Like, and he kind of like, just drops it down. And they have a little back and forth, a little like, oh, I like your tricks. I like yours too.
And I loved it. That was just perfect.
Yep. And then we see Hayward, get in the truck, and he's gonna apparently try and run him over. And before he can, Darcy shows up, plows him, and says, have fun in prison. And that's the only thing we see from Darcy in this episode, which I did find out. Kat Dennings, basically, they shot a lot of this episode after. The restrictions for COVID-19 were put in place, and she wasn't able to be part of the shoot. So that's why you don't see her interact with anyone else. The only shot of her, she's sitting alone in a truck. She says that. That's why she's not in the epilogue scene, is because she wasn't able to come back and complete that.
Okay. Well, that's good, though. I mean, at least they wanted to use her still, because I love her character.
And I did feel a little bit at the end when, in that post-credit scene where Jimmy's like, where's Darcy? And, something about debriefs are for the week. And I was like, really? Like, no, Darcy would still be there.
Yeah. Because she still want to know what's going on.
And she'd be gloating over Hayward and all this stuff. And so, knowing that there was a reason for it other than they didn't want her in that scene, I'm
okay with that. Because, she would be reading him his rights. It's like, you're not an officer, right? Yeah, but I just want to read it to him.
I just like doing this.
Yeah, just something stupid like that with her.
Yeah, totally.
But, and that kind of wraps it all up. At this point, though, she does say, okay, they defeat Agatha. And I didn't know how I felt about that.
So we need to talk about the fight between Wanda and Agatha after. So she does the little witchy thing in her ear.
And so she basically shows you your nightmares.
Right, transports to, the back to that scene we saw, 1693, where she stole the powers from all of the witches in her coven. And we understand now, as much as it was kind of a little bit ambiguous, that was all intentional. She wanted them to attack her so she could absorb their powers.
Exactly.
And Wanda even calls it out, and he's like, that's the difference between you and me. You did this on purpose. Mm-hmm. She's saying, I was not torturing those townspeople on purpose. It happened. It's terrible. Exactly. It sucks. But I didn't do it on purpose. You are doing this on purpose. And we see Agatha, even though this is apparently her nightmare,
can still control it.
Turns it on Wanda.
Yep.
And all of the witches, that come back to life. Wanda Maximoff, you're the Scarlet Witch. All this stuff. They put her at the stake. And again, Agatha, continues. She's still doing her monologuing. She's like, this is what you, what you lack is not power, it's knowledge. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you're doing. Give me this power. Mm-hmm. I'll let you keep your little Westview. I'll fix it for you, so you get to keep your family. Everyone will live there in peace.
Yep.
And you can just give me your powers.
Yeah.
And Wanda says,
no, we're gonna fight this out.
Blasts her out. Vision tries to go help.
Which she blocks.
Wanda says, nope, I got this. This is my fight. I got this. Yep. Don't worry about it. And then we see her, basically, she tricks Agatha.
Yeah.
Because she says, take my power, I don't want it. She starts blasting Agatha, but then she also...
There's always a second blast.
Blasts the wall a few times. Mm-hmm. I just keep missing. Oh, darn.
Yeah. There's one part, too, where it's like she shoots one, but then shoots another one right after. So it's like she's distracted by this one, not seeing the second one come up. And then, like you said, sometimes it's like, oh, I just missed.
Yeah.
And I liked how they played that whole part out. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I did, too. And initially, I watched it twice. The first time that I watched it, I was like, when did she cast those runes? And so in my mind, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, it must have been after she disappeared before she showed up and did the little witchy stuff. And then watching it again, I was like, oh no, it's during the fight. Yeah. She's literally casting the runes as she's hitting the sides of the wall. Mm-hmm. And what I think she's also doing, although it's not explicitly stated, is she's also altering reality to make it look like she's losing more power than she is.
Oh yeah.
Because we see before she starts reabsorbing everything back from Agatha, she already is able to restore her body. So it looks like she's like almost lost all her power, but clearly that's an illusion.
Exactly, and I think you're right. I think it had to be her reality bending powers at that point.
Yeah.
Which we already know she can do. She already knows she can do it herself. So it's like that makes the most sense, because I was like, how would they but that would make sense if you add that into it.
And we see Agatha, absorbing power, cackling, loving everything that's happening. And then, she finally decides, I'm going to... Yeah. And nothing happens. It was reminiscent of the, I am inevitable. It's not working.
Why is it not working?
It's not working.
Wait a minute.
And you were tricked by Wanda. It reveals the runes that she had cast, that now she's the only one that can cast magic in this space, and says, I don't need you to tell me who I am.
Yep.
And then we get the Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
The
true Scarlet Witch. I love this costume, by the way. I'm glad they didn't over-sexualize it or anything like in the comic books.
Yeah.
It's very fitting for her.
And Elizabeth Olsen actually talked about that some of the costumes she's had to wear in the MCU have been a little overtly sexual, and that she appreciates that they're taking this step.
Yeah, because she was almost just walking around in like a corset almost. So
especially the shot at the end of Age of Ultron is very much like, and it's not. That is a costume from the comics. Yeah. So I'm not going to say, that's Joss Whedon. Yeah. But also, somebody made that choice to say, this is the costume from the comics we want. Yeah. And that is it.
It is that was probably the most revealing one she had, I think. Yeah. Because after that, she doesn't really wear the dress anymore. Because she's like in a little mini skirt almost. Not a mini skirt, but like a little skirt. Yeah. And it's very close. No, I'm going to say it's a mini skirt. Because it's really close to being one if it isn't.
Which she has that a lot of the times when they're around Avengers Tower.
Yeah.
Which... On the one hand, it's like, okay, I know you're trying to portray that she's the young Avenger. She's the youngest of the Avengers. But it is also like, this is a little uncomfortable.
Exactly. I mean, that's why later on she's mostly in those jeans and pants in Captain America Civil War. She's in a pants outfit. And I'm like, okay, that's better. She's a little more covered up. But I'm glad that, now we cover up her chest. She has, more of a little... It's a little bit of a dress still, but with the pants.
Yeah, and she's got, the elbow-length gloves.
The emo gloves.
The crown.
Yes.
She's the Scarlet Witch in this
moment.
I
loved it.
She pulls back all her powers from Agatha and doesn't... At what point, we see some purple magic coming off of Agatha, so it does appear that she's absorbing some of that, but not to the point that Agatha ages up or anything. Yeah. And so I don't know exactly. She clearly left her with some power. Yeah. She didn't drain all her power. Yeah. But then they come back down to Earth, and you already mentioned, we were already getting to this where you're going, I don't know how I feel about this. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it either. So let's talk about what she does.
So at this point, she's talking to Agatha and essentially tells her, I'm not going to do anything bad to you. I'm not going to throw you in jail or anything. I'm going to just keep you as who you want to be, the nosy neighbor. Turns her back into Agnes. And Agatha the whole time is just saying she's a cruel person by doing this. And she tells her, you're going to need me. And she's like, well, I know right where you'll be.
I know.
Turns her back to Agnes.
Okie dokie.
And okie dokie, artichoke. And she is back to that.
That's did I leave my stove on or is that just you hot stuff?
Exactly. Very back to what she was.
Yeah. And on the one hand, excuse me. I understand, Agatha was a villain and all those things. Yeah. But... didn't she learned nothing from mind controlling an entire town? And, this is still a villainous act because putting someone in prison where they have the opportunity to think about what they've done, possibly reform, all that stuff, is very different than just saying, I'm going to take away your agency. Yeah. I'm going to now turn you into something you're not and give you no control over your life.
Exactly.
Which is what she does.
And we don't know, does her nightmares affect her now? Does all her grief still affect her? Yeah, we don't. So is she going to be able to sleep at night and all that?
We don't know that. And beyond that, just the logistics of it, this is, Agnes, or Agatha, is someone that, Jimmy and Darcy and Monica and all of those sword agents know who she is because they witnessed her on the TV show or in Monica's case in person. And so it's not like, when she turns her back to Agnes and they're doing this whole debrief on the town. Yeah. She's gonna get caught up in that. There's no way she could just not be part of that. And so it also doesn't really make sense logistically.
No, because Sword's job is to monitor these weapons. A weapon of mass destruction, essentially. And we're just gonna say, okay, well, we'll just leave her here because that's what Wanda wants. No, Sword should take her in too.
Yeah, or the FBI.
Yeah, FBI. Somebody should take her in. I wouldn't say the FBI because obviously she probably could do magic and get out of it. But Sword may have something to contain it because they probably know Doctor Strange. Who could put crests up and whatever. But it's like I don't think Sword would just leave her there. Like, okay, bye, have a good day. Like you said, there's Sword agents there. Haywood is still technically there, so he still saw it too. He's technically still the director at that point.
Yeah, I mean he gets arrested, so
he does. But you can tell Jimmy, I fucked up or whatever. But don't forget, Agatha is still there. Like, and Jimmy would be smart enough to know, like, oh, you're right. Like, you may be a bad guy, but she a villain.
Yeah,
and I don't.
And same with Monica. So I have problems with that on two fronts. I don't like that Wanda made that choice, although they are kind of setting her up to be the villain of Doctor Strange 2. So if she's gonna be a villain, then she's got to make some villainous choices, and I guess that's one.
But is she gonna be a villain?
It certainly seems that way. We're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
But definitely, I don't like. I didn't like her making that choice.
No.
After just.
Everything
that's happened, and also what she does immediately after this, where she has that back and forth with Vision, where he says, "I know you'll set everything right, just not for us," and she finally accepts and says, "Yes, just not for us."
I just kind of want to rush this part because to me it's touching, but it's not. I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing. So I had a couple problems with the Agatha thing, but then we get to the emotional core of the series. The
whole series, yeah.
The whole series has been about Wanda and Vision, and then halfway through it became about their boys too, so it's about their family. And processing through grief, understanding, loss, all of those things. And so this is the moment where Wanda, earlier she was confronted with the choice, save your family or save Westview.
Yeah.
Right? And she chose in that moment to save her family.
Yeah.
And now she has embraced more of her power. She's embraced more of who she is. And she, I think, has had some time. That was a very, you even heard her say, what? What? She didn't know that was the choice she had to make when she was opening up the Hex. And so she kind of had to very quickly process and say, I'm going to save my family. But now that she's had more time to actually understand the choice before her, she's going to make the heroic choice. Yeah. She's going to make the self-sacrificial choice. I am going to give up the thing that I want because otherwise I am torturing innocent people.
Yes.
Right? And so she does make that choice. They go back to their house. They have their little, we're going to tuck the boys in.
Yep.
There was a very specific line that I want to talk about.
Do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to wait? Because I have a bunch of questions, and you reminded me of one of them, and that's part
where
of it.
she says, "Thanks for choosing me to be your mom."
Yes.
And then we find, we have the goodbye between her and Vision, where he asks what he is.
And that's a touching one.
And she says, "You're, the Mind Stone that lives in me," and all these things. And again, it's touching, but the reason I wanted to highlight that is because we saw and we know that Vision came from the Mind Stone from within Wanda.
Right.
We saw that. We never saw where did the kids come from. So we still don't know what created them. And so her saying the words, "Thanks for choosing me to be your mom," strikes me because that is an incredibly pointed line. They're from somewhere. Mm-hmm. They chose in some form or fashion to come here and be part of this. And
so one theory is that, again, people are still trying. This is one thing I don't know. They're still trying to tie Mephisto.
They sure
are. And so I'm like, I'll go run with this because I love Mephisto.
Yeah.
But one theory is that in order to create life, she still needed a soul, and that these were two wandering souls still that have come and were like, well, we want a body, and maybe through Mephisto or through some dark magic that we don't know about, she was able to create a body for these lost souls.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, but yes, it is a very pointed line because it's not like thank you for helping or thank you for loving me. It's a very thank you for choosing me.
Mm-hmm.
So that means they had the ability to say no, and that's where it's like how what? That's like you said, it's a very strange phrasing.
It is.
So yeah, but I don't get that. I did like that commenting about how you said he is part of the Mind Stone, and somebody was actually showed a picture of this. And I was watching another video. She actually absorbed in the Infinity War. She's actually absorbing the Mind Stone. She's not blasting at it. She's absorbing. So if you watch that scene, if you want to go watch it again, or you probably can find just that part, watch her magic, and it's actually flowing into her, not going out to him.
Interesting.
So yeah, so it is literally, that's why he is yellow versus how everything else is red when it's created here. He's yellow because it is, like you said, the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
Interesting, but it was a nice little closing. It was very sad.
And you get you know, a nice goodbye between them. She says, you know, you're my sadness and my hope. Mostly, you're my love. I love Vision's line once again where he talks about, you know, I've been a voice with no body. I've been a body that wasn't human, and now I've been a memory made real. Who knows what I'll be next? Yeah. You know, so you get that little bit of hopefulness, and then, you know, he says we've said goodbye before, so it stands to reason that we'll say hello again.
And I love that line. I didn't want to hear goodbye. I didn't want to hear them say that. So when she says, "Till we say hello again," perfect way to end.
Although he does then say, "So long, darling." So he did say goodbye.
He did say goodbye. It wasn't goodbye. But it was real touching for me. I was really happy with that part.
Yep.
So then she basically comes back to Westview, says sorry for all the shit I've caused. Right. You know, I'm done.
Yeah, she gets to walk through town once again as her just Wanda.
Yeah.
And all the people just staring at her like daggers. Monica makes a comment that, you know, they'll never know what you sacrificed, and she's like, it wouldn't matter if they did.
Yeah.
Like,
she still hurt them.
And you know, to a certain extent, I mean, that's very true.
Yeah.
And you get Monica saying, you know what, if I had the power to, I might have made the same choice because I want my mom back.
Yeah, she says I'll do it. I would do it.
And so that's...
And I don't think anyone wouldn't, honestly. Like, if you lost that many people in your life, I don't think anyone would say, nah, I'm just going to be like, let's go, hunky-dory. Like, no, you're going to be a little jacked up in the head.
And then you get Wanda saying, you know, I don't understand this power yet, but I will.
And she takes off.
And
that's the end.
Yeets out of Westview. Yeah. That's the end of WandaVision. We do get a couple of post-credit scenes. One with Monica, where she encounters a Skrull who tells her that an old friend of her mom's wants to see her.
And she says he.
It is, I mean...
It has to be Nick.
It has to be Nick Fury, right?
It has to be. So first I want to say this. Do you think that Skrull was the kid Skrull from Marvel? Miss Marvel, or Captain Marvel? Because remember, there's a little kid Skrull she plays with.
There is.
Do you think that's the same Skrull? Because they don't comment at all that could or could not be.
It certainly could. I mean, I hadn't thought of that before you just said that.
The moment I saw it, I was like, and I was trying to see if there's like any little like details, like, is that the little girl? Is she going to say something? And she just says, you know, he wants to talk to you, and she's like, well, where? And just points up. So that tells you it's Nick Fury.
Monica's going to space.
Fury.
Monica's going to space.
As much as I'm excited for that, it's bad that I'm excited that we're still probably going to get Samuel L. Jackson for a few more movies.
Well, we know we're getting him in another series because they're doing Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
That he's going to lead.
I'm just so happy.
We assume he's going to be in Captain Marvel 2. Because of their connection, and now he's going to have this connection with Monica. We assume she's going to be in Captain Marvel too. I think Nick's sticking around.
I love Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, and I was always worried that because they're like, oh, he's only going to do 8 movies, and now I'm like, oh, man, it's going to be out.
Except he's the guy that always wants to come back.
Yeah,
and it's not like he has to stay in like amazing shape to do it. Like he's not Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth, you know, playing Captain America or Thor, where he has to be in like incredible shape. Like he can just show up on set and be Nick Fury.
Exactly.
And so I think he's gonna stick around for a long time in this universe.
I hope so. Like that's. We get that one, and I thought that was a really good closing credit for Monica.
Yeah, and we get Jimmy. We get a little Jimmy too, where he's
taking charge.
She's like, Authority looks good on you, which, you know, maybe he'll be the director of S.W.O.R.D. down on Earth now.
I would hope they do that.
Being arrested.
I hope he gets something. Again, I would love.
We want that X-Files show.
Oh, I do. If he doesn't become the director of S.W.O.R.D., he has to get a show with Darcy.
Him and Darcy. Yeah.
Yeah, just them two.
I'm on board.
I'm so down for that. So we get that scene, so we now know Monica's going to go to space. We know the Skrulls are around still, where they're still doing Skrully things.
Yep.
So I'm happy with that. And then we get one more post-credit scene.
One more.
This is after everything, and you know I don't like it that much.
With Wanda, we zoom in on a cabin in the mountains. A lot of speculation this is Mount Wangador, which in the comics is the birthplace and where Wanda and Pietro were raised, and it's where like her chaos magic is from. And whether or not it is, it doesn't really matter.
Sokovia, because it's on that lake, or by that lake, and we've already seen Zemo at a lake as well in the stills from what they've showed. So like maybe it's the same lake in Sokovia.
There's a lot of lakes in the world, so that seems like you're drawing some threads there.
It's like, but there's a lake right here. No.
But yeah, we zoom in on the cabin. We see Wanda sitting on the porch, and then the whistling, comes in. It's a pot of tea that she's making. So she goes in, pours herself a cup. The camera keeps moving into the next room, and then we see the Scarlet Witch in an astral form reading through the Darkhold, and then she hears Billy and Tommy screaming, "Mom, Mom, help us, help us." Her eyes flash red.
And she shuts the book, we
see some sort of motion that looks like she's shutting the book, and cut.
That's it.
So
I have issues with that scene.
Yeah.
And you know where I stand on
So go ahead. I guess tell me your issues with the scene.
So my issue with this, and this is something I said to another friend actually right before you got here.
Okay.
It's very much a ripoff of the Hulk scene from Edward Norton Hulk, if you remember that one, where at the end of that we fly through the mountaintops, we go into a cabin, he's fishing, writing a letter, because he's sending the necklace back to what's her name?
Yeah, to Betty.
Sending the necklace back, and he's sitting there meditating again. And then he opens his eyes, and they're green. He's controlling the Hulk. He's learning to control the Hulk.
Correct.
And this feels like the same way. It's like we fly in, we see, instead of a letter, she's pouring her tea, and it's like, oh, okay, like life is good. And then we see her learning her power, trying to control it. And it's like, that's a ripoff. For me, it's a ripoff of the Hulk. Like,
they're ripping off their own universe.
Exactly. Like, well, no, doesn't Universal Studios own it?
Yeah, but it was also in conjunction with Marvel Studios. It was a Marvel Studios property.
So it's like, I don't know. I wish I could have done something a little bit different. Like, again, give us the cameo of, like, Doctor Strange movie, because there's no way he didn't know something was going on. Give us something a little bit different. Like, maybe just the dun-dun-dun, and all you see is, like, the wrist. We need to talk. And you hear, like, Benedict Cumberbatch, and that's it. Like, that's all. I would have been happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, so there were a couple things about the scene. I agree with you that, it was very reminiscent of The Incredible Hulk, whether you want to call it a ripoff or an homage, or maybe they just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
We don't know. But there were a couple things that I did like.
Okay.
So number one, I like, because we get a call out earlier in the episode that the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, which of course in comics is also true. But what I think, this is one of the moments where we see that, because every time we've seen anyone go into their astral form in the Doctor Strange movies,
they're asleep.
They've been unconscious.
Yeah.
Wanda's walking around, just doing whatever she wants, and also doing this.
I will give you that.
So that was a cool moment to see that. And then I did like, so the screaming out from the boys, it sounded almost the same, and I was trying to figure out if it was the same from earlier in the episode when they were disintegrating, and they were calling out for her at that point, like, Mom, Mom, help! And it sounded really similar, and so the reason I liked it is because I went, is someone baiting her? Like, is this
possible?
Is this, maybe it's not actually them, it's someone...
Maybe it is Mephisto.
I don't know. So it was one of those things, it's clearly setting up for Multiverse of Madness. Yes. It's clearly setting her up to, that's going to be the beginning of that movie, I think, is her trying to find her boys in the multiverse, wherever they are. And somehow that's going to bring her into conflict with Doctor Strange. I'm sure they're going to have a first act fight. Whether or not, by the end of that movie, I don't necessarily think she's going to be the villain.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But she's definitely going to be an antagonist early in the movie.
And see, that's one thing that I've been reading up on. Now, Scarlet Witch's origins have changed a little bit in the comics in recent years. I was reading up on that. And she's actually the Nexus herself.
Right.
Meaning that she is in all times at every moment, almost like Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Like he's always in time at every time, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't experience time linearly. He experiences it every moment he experiences at the same time.
Yeah, and apparently she's something like that. So, like how you say that, I wonder if she's just picking up on the past too, and not realizing she's in the present and in the future at the same. Like she's everywhere. So I don't know, because again, she doesn't know her powers, but we are, like you said,
she's learning them from the Book of the Damned.
Yeah, because that's the best way to.
It's a reliable source.
Yeah. Let's also get the Necronomicon while we're at it and everything else. Yeah. But I had too many issues with that scene. But again, I did like. You're right. She's walking where we saw in Doctor Strange. He's asleep while he's in his astral projection form. So it's like he's learning, but she's learning and just able to do Wanda stuff.
Okay, so now we've talked about every scene of this show. Let's
both have tons of questions.
Yeah, well, before we get into any questions, let's just talk about WandaVision as a whole, a whole series. How do we feel about it? And I'm just gonna start.
Yeah.
I said it, I think, in our first week's review. Certainly, if it wasn't in that one, it was in the next one.
Yeah.
I wish, as a consumer, I understand why Disney did this. I understand why Marvel did this. But as a consumer, I wish I had been able to watch all of these together. Because for me, having it be week to week, it sets a certain kind of expectation with something. And so a lot of times in Marvel properties, we get seeds of a future project. You know, where they'll drop a, Stephen Strange name in, the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And then we get a Doctor Strange that shows up a couple, we don't need to pay that off in the same movie. Right. So I understand that Marvel does that.
Right.
But when you set a property up that's week to week, when you set up something in week 4, like, I'm here because I'm looking for my missing person who is in the witness protection program, then I expect you to pay that off by week 9 because you're giving me a month and a half to wait for it.
Right.
So that, to me, the structure of the show, if this had all been binged and nothing had changed, they'd just given us the show exactly the same, but they dropped all the episodes at once, we would be having all of those speculation conversations about who's the aerospace engineer, who was that, missing person, is something else, like all of those speculative conversations that we've been having for 7 weeks, we'd be having it now.
Right.
And talking about, oh man, we have so much to look forward to. And instead, what we have is this feeling of kind of feeling disappointed because they set up so many things that they didn't pay off.
Right.
They still can pay those things off. They can still give them to us later, but I'm in the place where, because of the way they set up this show and having it be week to week, I feel let down that I didn't find out who the missing person was.
Yeah.
Like that, to me, you set that up a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
I should have that knowledge by now.
Yep.
And so that's a little bit annoying that I don't.
Yeah.
And so I know there's been a lot of conversation and there's a lot of people that are out there like, Marvel fanboys are just getting their panties in a bunch because, they didn't get everything they wanted. And I'm not like that. I don't need to have all my theories. I don't need Mephisto to show up so that I can say I was right. I don't need Dottie to be Mephisto so I can say I was right. But I do need them to answer the questions they set up.
Yeah.
They set up... we had Jimmy writing on a board, why hexagons? Did they ever answer that?
Nope.
No. We have a theory where we can say, okay, that seems to tie into magic. The hexagons, we saw some of those with Agatha. We saw her runes were in hexagons. And so... maybe that's a magical thing, but again, we never got a definitive answer.
Yeah. I think we even said hexagons are essentially what cells look like, and it's like the building blocks of life. So I think we commented a couple weeks ago about that too.
The Mind Stone was a hexagon. All of these things, there's a lot of theories, but Jimmy wrote it down on a whiteboard in week 4.
Yeah.
And we
still never...
and we were expecting to find an answer to that, and we never did. Again, setting up the aerospace engineer, which was, I think... episode 5
or 6,
I think. And then we have 4 more episodes.
Well, technically, no, it's 4 because that's when she first wakes up, right?
No, because
4 is when she was.
Yeah, because 4 they do the setup of her being there, and then we see her.
Okay, so then it's 5.
So I think it's 5
because I'll send a text message to my friend or something.
Yeah, and again. And people are saying, well, they didn't really set that up. Yes, they did. I've watched enough Marvel properties to know.
Yeah.
They mentioned it multiple times, and they very clearly lingered on her sending a message with her phone. And so you can't tell me that they didn't set that up.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they will tell us who that person is. But because of the structure of the show and having it week to week, I feel let down that I didn't get it on this show.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people don't feel the same way. A lot of people, will say, this show gave us what it promised us. It gave us Wanda Vision. It gave us a story about grief, a story about love, about all that stuff. And that's all true.
Yeah.
But they did a lot of work setting up a lot of different threads and a lot of different things, and they didn't really pay off most of those. And honestly, they don't have to pay off all of them. But something essential, to me, honestly, the witness that Jimmy was, was the whole reason Jimmy showed up. Yeah. They have to tell you who that is.
I agree. Now,
have you heard the theory about that, by the way?
No.
What's so the theory about that
is it's Mephisto.
No. The theory about that is that it's Ralph Boner.
Uh-huh.
That's not his real name. He's in the Witness Protection Program. He actually is Quicksilver.
Are you serious?
I don't buy it. God. I don't think that's true. But it's like people are still just clinging to this as much as they can.
And he's not really Quicksilver. He's Mephisto.
I mean, I don't know. So
and the bunny is really Nightmare.
Which is again, we don't know. We don't know what is up with the bunny.
Yeah.
Who apparently is
it's just a bunny apparently
carnivorous.
But yeah, I don't. And I agree with you. After watching this, I kind of started to agree with you more that this should have been a binge show because I'm left with so many questions that I honestly don't think we'll ever get answers. If they're already saying they're not doing a season 2, there's no reason to bring Jimmy back out and talking about this witness protection program. Because like you said, if we move him into S.W.O.R.D. and now he's in charge of S.W.O.R.D., he's not going to care anymore. Or he might, but it's not going to focus on that because now he has bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, unless it's someone of note, we'll never get an answer.
Yeah.
And if it is someone of note, I'm annoyed that we didn't get the answer now.
Yeah. What are you waiting on? Now, again, we also got to remember the time frame all this was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out, and then Doctor Strange was supposed to come out right after it.
Yeah.
And now it got moved so far ahead that we are going to have to wait because Doctor Strange isn't coming out. I think the newest number is Black Widow's May 7th. No, hold on. We got Falcon Winter Soldier next week. We got, or 2 weeks, whatever.
Yep.
And then we got, then it's Black Widow. Then it's something
Loki.
else. Is it Loki next?
Yeah, Loki's in June.
Then it's another movie. Then it might be Doctor Strange.
Well, no, I don't know. I don't know if it's Eternals or Shang-Chi. I think both of
Shang-Chi.
those.
No, you're right. Shang-Chi's first.
Yeah,
It'll be Shang-Chi.
And then I think Spider-Man is December.
They moved that to December now.
And then Doctor Strange is like March of next year. So there's
I thought it was before that stuff.
No, there's like 4 movies that come out. Doctor Strange is after the Spider-Man movie, which he's going to be in also.
They pushed it. So okay. Yeah, so I mean, it's all scattered now. So I don't... Now, my question is how much is this going to screw up the storyline a little bit? Like, are we going to have to literally wait a year now to get any of these answers? Am I going to care in a year? Am I even going to remember in a year?
Well,
that's like, what's going on?
Yes. Because the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been doing that the whole time. It used to be just movies. And they would set up something in a post-credit scene that didn't come out for 2 more years.
That is true.
And so, yes, we are still going to want these answers and get some of these answers. But yes, it won't be maybe as streamlined as we were hoping.
Exactly. So, I know we both have questions, and I'm sure we're going to have questions that are going to cross.
Well, so my big thing, my questions was really more about all the characters, where they ended, and where we expect them to go.
Okay.
So do you want me to just run through mine, and then we'll get to your questions, or do you want to do yours first?
No, let's do yours. Okay. Because I think some of ours are going to entwine, and when they do, I'll probably say something.
So Wanda, we see at the end of this, she's studying her magic, learning about the Scarlet Witch, and we know that's setting her up to be in...
Multiverse of Madness.
The Multiverse of Madness, and I think that is going to be the next place that we see her. And again, I already offered my thoughts on what the kind of the first act of that is going to be, or where she's going to be. Do you agree? Disagree?
Oh, I agree 100%. I think you're right. I think it's going to be, she's probably jumping around, and it's going to trigger Doctor Strange.
Yep.
He's going to come over there, and this is one thing I think people didn't understand, because they're like, oh, why didn't she call Doctor Strange? She's never met Doctor Strange.
Correct.
So there's no reason for her to be like, oh, I don't know how to use my powers. Let me call Doctor Strange. She has no idea who the Sorcerer Supreme is. So when that line was said, it's lost on her because she's like, well, I don't know who that is. I've never, whatever, bye. And so I think you're right. I think he's going to come out and be like, and he has never met her.
Yeah.
Who the heck are you? You must be an evil sorcerer. Do you know Baron? Like, it might be something like that. Like, oh, and she's like, I don't know who that is. Or she may try to lie and be like, oh, yeah, he's my friend. Oh, okay, gotta fight you now.
And we actually don't know at this point if Doctor Strange is the actual Sorcerer Supreme. Like, we think he is. Yeah. But it was never actually said once the Ancient One died in Doctor Strange's movie. By the time we next see Doctor Strange, and then in Thor Ragnarok, and then in Infinity War and Endgame, he certainly has powered up, and he seems to be the Sorcerer Supreme. He has the Time Stone, which is, kind of the Sorcerer Supreme usually is the one that has that.
Yeah.
And so we think he's the Sorcerer Supreme, but they've never officially said he is.
And that's true. We don't know if he's taking the mantle up. And he might show off the mantle in that first act. It might be, and that might be the best way to show off the power, is that she's like, well, who are you? He's like, well, I've just become the Sorcerer Supreme. Or he may even comment, like, I am the Sorcerer Supreme. It's like, okay, cool, now we get the fight. Because maybe she remembers, it's a throwback to, like, well, Agatha did say something about you, so maybe you're a bad guy too. And like you said, I think the first act is literally going to be them fighting.
Yeah.
Second act is them, like, wait, you're not the bad guy?
Well,
he's the bad guy or she's the bad guy?
Doctor Strange was at Iron Man's funeral, wasn't he?
Yes.
And so Wanda was there too.
Yes.
So we've never seen them meet on screen, but they were obviously both part of the battle. And then they were both at Tony Stark's funeral. So it stands to reason that she might at least recognize him and know that he's not a villain.
Right. But she also doesn't... That was also before now learning about magic, about the book, about Agatha mentioning Sorcerer Supreme. Who knows? I mean, and again, she's standing with, I think it's Falcon, and she's with Cap, I think. Right? Or she's with Hawkeye and Falcon.
No, she's with Falcon and... I think it's just her and Hawkeye.
It might be just her and Hawkeye. Yeah, because Hawkeye's always holding her.
Because they're the two that have... And his family. Yeah. It's Hawkeye and his family and her.
Yeah.
And they're the two that, in this, I guess...
universe.
Space, yeah. They just, he lost Black Widow, she lost Vision. Like, they even have that scene on the lake where, he says, I hope they know that we won or something. And
so who knows if she even talked to him? Because Strange is kind of standing by himself, too. He's not with anybody. So who knows? But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be that way.
Okay. So that's Wanda.
Okay.
Agatha, she's in the neighbor, the nosy neighbor role. Again, I have some logistical questions with whether or not she's actually going to be in Westview still.
Yeah.
Or if, the FBI or SWORD is going to, apprehend her. I don't know. Now, we know that it appears that she retains some of her magical ability, but is unable to access it because she doesn't know she's a witch, because she's been completely mind-wiped, basically. So... I expect we will see her again also.
Yep, I agree with that.
Okay.
I just don't know where, but I agree.
Yeah.
And it might be in Doctor Strange.
Could be in Doctor Strange too. Bring her out. She very specifically says, you're going to need my help. And
it's a very line that's like, that means I'm coming back.
Yeah.
But to me, that's all. And especially in Marvel, I'm coming back.
Monica, we already talked a little bit about. We know that she's powered up now and is
going to
presumably heading to space to see Nick Fury. So we know that she's showing up in Captain Marvel 2. So my question would be: is she also going to show up in a show like Miss Marvel?
Maybe.
Or potentially in Secret Invasion, whenever that shows up too.
Or she might. The newest title for Spider-Man is Far From Home now. So will she show up?
No. It's No Way Home.
Oh, No Way Home. I'm sorry, No Way Home.
Yeah.
And does that mean he's going to space? Because they commented they're getting off of Earth now. That's what Kevin Feige.
I don't. So I think that, because we've already talked about it, I think that Spider-Man
let me have hope.
By the end of that, I think he's going to be very isolated. I don't think we're going to tie in a bunch of our new characters to his franchise.
Let me have hope.
I know
he won't.
All right. So Vision, White Vision.
Yes.
Is out in the world with his memories restored, but probably not necessarily feeling like the OG Vision.
Yeah.
Right? Because he doesn't have the Mind Stone.
Nope.
So where are we going to get him next? Is he going to go off and start West Coast Avengers?
That's kind of what I have the same thing. Like White Vision, and it's like, is he going to start another Avengers? Which would be cool.
Or maybe the Young Avengers.
He might start the Young Avengers.
Which they're definitely setting up.
Yes. So the rumor is that next time we see Billy, because we're going to see Billy and Tommy again, is that they're going to be teenagers.
Well, and apparently, whether this is true or not, but apparently the actors that played Billy and Tommy also shot scenes for Doctor Strange 2.
Ooh. That'd be interesting.
Are they trapped somewhere in the multiverse? Will they be used as illusions? Or will they actually be, physically brought into the world?
And come back as Speed and Wiccan?
Yep, we don't know.
I'd love to see it. But yeah, that was one of mine too. Like, where did he go and when will we see him next?
Yeah, and my big question about those boys is, where did they come from?
Yeah.
But, with White Vision, I don't know where we're going to see him next. I think the temptation is to immediately reconnect him with Wanda.
Yeah.
To try and, kind of build that relationship again.
Yeah.
I kind of hope they don't do that.
No, they shouldn't.
I want to see Vision off by himself for a little while.
I would like to see, and which would be kind of heartbreaking and kind of not, in the comics, they do break up. And they're not together anymore. And Vision creates a family. He creates a wife.
Yeah.
He creates 2 kids and a dog, Sparky, which is technically already saw. but he creates his family. So it would be interesting that he's like, I wanted to be at peace finally, so I made my own they call it like the nuclear family or something, and that he has his kids and his wife. Eventually, they do have to destroy the little boy, I think, and he has a boy and a girl. One of them gets destroyed because they end up going crazy, and then the little girl, I think, joins the Young Avengers.
Nice.
So it's like that would be a good tie-in. Like he's like, I'm retired, like I'm done, and I built my family. This is now my family, and like yes, he likes Wanda, but that vision is gone. That loved Wanda. This is a vision that's different.
And I could see him, like going out into space and trying to self-destruct, like destroy himself, so that he can't be used as a weapon anymore.
Yeah, like flying to the sun kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? All right, on to, I'm just going to lump them together, Jimmy and Darcy. So
X-Files, yes.
Will we see them again? Like, I know that there was that show being pitched.
They're pitching it.
Will that show come to fruition? Will we see? I think we will see both of them again. But will we see them together? Will we see them, kind of only popping up in these Disney Plus, shows? Or are we going to get them in movies?
They better be in both. I want them in both. I love Kate Dennings. She's so amazing. Kate. I'm terrible with names.
If you think she's amazing, maybe you should get her name.
I'm also terrible with names. If she calls me, I will promise I will remember your name forever. If you ever call me or message me.
Okay, that's a promise. I'll remember your name. Wow.
I mean, as ex-girlfriends, I don't remember their names.
Ouch. So. All right.
But, it's
yeah, I think we'll see.
I think so too. They built them up too much, and now they become kind of like Agent Coulson. They become fan favorites now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what helped Coulson to get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything. And I'm sure they had that planned anyway. But I'm sure seeing how the fans reacted to Coulson throughout the years, it was like, you know what? Let's keep this character going.
Jimmy Woo is kind of the new Coulson.
Yes, and he. Oh my god!
It's like we want him to pop up everywhere.
Yeah. Why are you here? I don't know. I'm supposed to be here, I guess. Can you do Magic Trick? What? Just, I want to see Magic Trick.
Jimmy Woo.
Exactly. I want to see that again.
All right. Are we going to get Hayward ever again?
I think he's done. I think that...
Really?
I honestly think that storyline is done. There's no... Because if he is such a generic bad guy, number one, there's no reason to bring him around anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just feel like at some point, like, it's almost like there's going to be there's got to be... This is everything where I'm like, I don't know if Marvel's going to spend the time to do this, but there's got to be some sort of follow-up, like, why did he do the things he did? Because they never explain it.
No, they don't.
Honestly, all that we see is that he wanted to repower Vision, and we don't know why, because he was trying to do that well before Wanda showed back up on the scene. But then once she showed back up on the scene, it was like, oh, I'm going to create this Vision to take her out. Which it was like, okay, but why was your reason in the 5 years between?
And that's all we get is you don't remember how hard it was to keep the lights on. That's all you get. And it's like, well, yeah, it's hard, but you persevered, yeah, thank you. Can't think today. And it's like, I don't know. I think the next time we see him, he's gonna catch a bullet from Nick Fury or something at most. Like, it's just gonna be like, okay, bam, dead. Like,
yeah.
Nick's done with you.
I don't know if we'll ever see the actor again, but I think that we will get some sort of mention of his plan. I think we will get some sort of...
Like on a document kind of thing? Like
yeah, or even just in conversation, like Monica maybe encounters White Vision at some point, and they have a conversation about how he came to be, and, she's had a chance to investigate and figure... I don't know.
I mean, I could see that, but I really just don't see it as, oh yeah, he's going to come back and be in these movies again, or shows or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know that... I don't think he's going to be a recurring character, but I can see him popping up for a scene or something.
I honestly don't think, unless it's a flashback, I guess maybe you do it that way. But again, a lot of these people are gone for 5 years, so no one's really going to need a flashback. Like, I don't know. All right, I think we're done.
The last person on my character list.
Okay.
Pietro. Are we done with Evan Peters?
Okay.
Or is he still going to, make an appearance as Quicksilver? Mm-hmm. Like, is he actually Quicksilver somehow still? Or do we say that was all a gag? It was all literally for a dick joke.
So, oh my god. And it was a very long draw dick joke. I'm going to ask you, do you believe the theory?
No.
No. Do you think it's just one and done? Like, this was just to say, hey, we tricked everybody?
I think, as much as I don't want that to be the case, because I really don't like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think this entire show was built, and there were specific things that were done, whether it be him, whether it be Dottie, whether it be other things, where there were specific things that were done in order to misdirect fans.
It really was.
And I think that this was the case of, you know, they were looking for a way for Agatha to trick Wanda. Mm-hmm. They had another actor that had played Quicksilver, and they just went, yeah, let's just do it. And that'll be fun. Yeah. The fans, it'll be a nice, fun Easter egg for the fans, but I don't think they're actually pulling in that Quicksilver. Now, the only thing that does give me pause about that is there was apparently... there was an interview with Patrick Stewart where he said they approached him to return.
Yeah.
And so...
And he's denied it, right? He said
he didn't want to come back.
Okay.
But he said, we had the conversation.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do it. I don't want to come back to
So Professor X. It makes you wonder...
So that does make you think, okay, are they willing to reach into that universe? The stuff they're doing with the Spider-Man 3 movie. Like, are they willing to reach into these other universes? And so if they are... and they are willing to do that, then this could still, eventually, he could still be that character. But it's just the way that they gave him his finish in this series, which was just very quick and very much like, you know, oh, you're just under mind control. You're Ralph. You're the husband Agnes has been talking about this whole time. Yeah. Oh, my husband Ralph.
Oh, I didn't even think about that,
I don't see him being actual Quicksilver.
No, I don't either. I think if he was Quicksilver,
which pisses me off.
I think he would have. It would have been, if he was Quicksilver, it would have been cool to him like get the necklace ripped off like that, and then he's like, what the, and it just disappears because he ran so like he got out. That would have been the only way I'd been like, okay, cool. I think that he was, because he was so scared, like, what's going on? And she's like, nice to meet you, Ralph. Okay, that's it. I think you're right. I think this was all maybe not a joke, but this like you said, an Easter egg, or just we want to play with the fans a little bit. I think he's done.
I was annoying.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
So okay,
so you're done with your characters.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Ralph again.
So I'm just going to add one character that. Oh, I got a couple questions. Do you have more questions? Or
no, I'm done.
Okay, I got other ones.
Yeah, I knew you would, so I didn't come up with any more.
Oh, really? So you hit the missing person one. We said that, right? You already talked about that one.
Yeah, and they still never answered that. And as a consumer of a show, I'm pissed. Because that is Chekhov's gun. Which the rule is, if you introduce it in the first act, you have to use it by the last act.
Exactly.
You introduced this.
Yeah.
Like, why did you even bring it up if you're not going to answer it? And it could have been as simple as it was, you know, Herb, or it was Norm, or it was, you know, like, it was Dennis the mailman. Like, it could have been any of those, and they just didn't do it.
I would have been just happy with him if you could just show it off screen, like you see Jimmy's face just talking to somebody, and then you could just assume that must be him. And like you said, maybe it's just him and Herb talking. And it's like, well, why are you talking to Herb?
Or he would have shared it with Darcy or with Monica or something like that. Like I'm not saying he needed to share it with the rest of S.W.O.R.D.
Yeah.
But like I think that Jimmy developed enough of a relationship, especially with Monica, that, you know, he would have said like, hey, when you're going in, you know, keep an eye out for my missing person. Here's what they look like. Here's a picture.
And send a picture. Like,
something like that.
Or it's like, hey, if you see... I would have been happy with, like, hey, if you see this guy named Herb, can you send him my way? Why? Oh, I just need to talk to him. Like, maybe he doesn't want to say it just yet because he is still in witness protection.
Right.
So he can't say who it is, but like, hey, yeah, he's just a friend, you know, just something like that.
Yeah.
And then just kind of give, like, that weird look. He's like, no, it's fine. Then we know, oh, it must be Herb. Like, but then let us speculate and dwell on that later.
Yeah, they gave us nothing.
Yeah, that's one thing. That was my other question.
Uh-huh.
My other question, which came up last episode...
The beekeeper.
The beekeeper. I'm still kind of curious where he is. So like you say, like, you don't know what happened with that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Where does Agatha get her powers? And again, I come back to possibly Dormammu with the whole purple coloring.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can safely speculate that we don't know exactly where she got her powers initially.
Yes.
But at least since the 1600s, she's been taking powers from other witches.
That's true, too.
Like, I mean, she even says, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah, so we assume she's killed a bunch of covens after
that. We see her do it with those ones. Maybe that's why there's so few witches left.
Maybe. I mean, so I'm curious where her powers come from, because we don't... First of all, where did she get the book? How did she get her hands on it? Is it really the Ancient Ones book from the collection that's missing that we saw in Doctor Strange? I don't know, and those two kind of tie together for me. Is like, is it the book? Is it not the book?
Yeah, and that's one thing. I guess I don't need to know where she got the book from. She's an evil witch. She has access to an evil book. That's enough for me.
I guess for me, it's like I want to know, was she stronger than the Ancient One at that point? Because that means she got around everybody in the temple to get it.
I don't think so. I mean, I think the way she said the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
That made me feel like I want that power so that I will be stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah. Which means I'm not currently.
So, do you think we'll see her in Doctor Strange?
I don't know. I don't know where we'll see her again. I think we will see her again, but I don't know if it'll be in Doctor Strange. If it is in Doctor Strange, I don't know that it'll be a big part. It would be maybe a show up, get some knowledge, and now I guess I'll let you go free.
Yeah, be good, and if not, I'll come back and do this again kind of thing.
I don't know.
So, and then my other question.
I'm sorry. No, go for it. I can't get past that. Like, Wanda, that is a dick move.
Yeah.
Like, that's a...
Well, she even calls it. She goes, that's cruel.
And that is. That absolutely is. And I'm not saying that Agatha wasn't a bad person. But she totally I don't think anyone deserves that fate.
No, not at all. I don't. To not know who you are anymore, to know nothing.
Yeah.
So, no. That's... My other one was the bunny. What happened to the bunny? And I know it's so stupid.
He went and lived in, by a tunnel where the Monty Python...
I would love if they tied that somehow. Like, yeah, he's in England now.
1, 2, 5. No, right? No, it's not. 3.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, like, I want to know, and I know it's minute probably to some people, but it's like, again, he eats the cicada, which we commented is not normal for a bunny to do.
Correct.
I don't think bunnies do that. They're herbivores. So why did... It has to be something still. And again, obviously...
whatever that is, I mean, whether it's a person transmogrified, it could be her son, Nicholas Scratch, whatever it is, I think
that's the running theory.
If it's going to be something, it's going to help Agatha escape.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like, she left the bunny there, obviously. So is Agatha going to go back to her house and the bunny's in there? Like, oh, okay, it's just my little bunny, and not know that it's really...
Go down into my witch's dungeon and be like, this is weird.
Yeah, I better clean this. Where's Ralph?
Although it's actually... Yeah, it is Ralph's house, technically.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, is she just going to walk in there and be like, it's...
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, is that magic was created by Agatha, so when Wanda rolled back her hex... Does that magic disappear, or is there truly just a magical dungeon down there?
Right, and then she just goes down there like, I don't remember doing this, but okay.
And Ralph is like, and Ralph is obviously going to recognize her.
Yeah, he's going to recognize her. That's going to be funny.
So,
but again, that comes back to we don't know what's going to happen with that.
Ralph's
you already commented on Dottie not being anything.
No, she was not.
Terrible.
Which there was actually an article out where Emma Caulfield, the actress, basically said, like, yeah, we designed it to just be a troll job. Yeah. I'm like, that's not cool.
Yeah, and they did, and that tricked everybody. She really did.
She definitely tricked me. I was on the Dottie is Mephisto train.
Yes.
Like, hardcore last week.
This one we can answer too. Oh, okay. Well, we kind of commented on it. I'm going to ask it again. Who do you think is going to be in charge of Sword now? Do you think they're going to put Jimmy, or you going to think Nick Fury's going to take over?
I mean, I feel like there's going to be an Earth-based director, and a space-based director, and so
Nick will be one of them.
Obviously. Maybe it can be Monica. I don't even know that Nick wants to be in charge anymore. Maybe Nick just wants to
go to.
Nick wants to be the dotted line. Like, I'm in charge of all of it, but I don't want all the responsibilities anymore.
He wants to be in Tahiti?
Sure. So, I think, I would love it if it was Jimmy. I don't know if they'll give it to him, like that he's an FBI agent, and so, all of a sudden you're just the new director of Sword. That would be a little odd. I think Monica is going to be too busy being a superhero to be a director of Sword.
And Captain Marvel's too busy, too, to do anything.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a new character.
Okay.
I think it'll be someone we don't know yet.
Could be Maria Hill. Maria could take over, and because she is technically second in command for S.H.I.E.L.D.
She is.
So you could keep Nick with S.H.I.E.L.D. and move her to Sword.
With S.H.I.E.L.D., do they exist at this point?
the last thing we saw was, Age of Ultron?
Well, they showed back up in Age of Ultron, but were they technically reformed? Because I think they were destroyed at the end of, Winter Soldier. I don't know. Yeah, because he still has a helicarrier somewhere. Yeah, obviously. He's Nick Fury. He's always got something up his sleeve.
Oh, yeah. He's got everything. So, and that's why, again, I don't... Actually, as I say that, we haven't seen him since Age of Ultron, have we?
Shield itself?
Yeah. Unless we count Agents of Shield, but that's kind of it.
Yeah,
But I don't know what the time frame is for them.
Yeah, I don't think we've really seen Shield because we didn't get, when we go to like Captain America: Civil War, they're not there. No. In Avengers: Infinity War, like we know that Nick is coordinating something. Yeah. Some kind of response we see in Spider-Man: Far From Home. Fake Nick Fury has a team that he's using, whether those are sword agents or shield agents. We don't get a lot of clarity.
Agents is all
it's just him and Maria Hill, who of course, spoiler, turn out to be Skrulls.
Yeah. So technically we don't even know where Maria Hill is because we only saw Nick Fury up in space.
That's true.
So Maria could be. That's what I think. I think Maria will take over.
I think she got dusted, and she's the only one that didn't get to come back.
Tony forgot about her. What was that other girl's name that was supposed to or Hulk, right?
Maria Hull? Maria...
Hulk's going through all the names.
Maria Hall, that's it.
So comes Michael C. Hall's wife? Wait a minute, hold on. Wrong one.
No,
but yeah, like, I don't know, like, that's kind of what I was wondering. And then, of course, my last one, in which we did touch on, what did Wanda mean by choosing me? Which we've already kind of commented on that, and I really think that's going to be a big thing, I think.
I think it is,
I think that's going to come back somewhere in a payoff, but I think, like you said, Doctor Strange, No Way Home, something else, but I don't think we're going to get anything till late. Like, late.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Wanda's showing up again until Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
I think she'll show up in a credit for Spider-Man.
I don't think so, because I think that's what the post-credit scene of this was. I don't think... Maybe, so. Yeah, I don't think... I think the next time we see Wanda on screen, it will be Doctor Strange 2.
I'm gonna put Spider-Man because I think that's how we're gonna lose him. If you're right, and that he's leaving us, she's gonna be in that one. Because I think she'll be the only one that can tap in the multiverse. And she's gonna send Peter away. And then I'm gonna have to hate Wanda. And then I'm hoping Doctor Strange just pops her like a...
That's okay, I'm already on the fence with her because of what she did to Agatha. Not that I'm Team Agatha, like she's clearly a villain, but that is like not cool.
I don't think was it said in this one. No, I was watching something else. Does the end justify the means though? Because in the end, she is no longer a threat, which is what we want because she is a very powerful witch. Let's face it. But does
no? To me, it does not. I think that. This is the Captain America perspective, right? I mean,
Iron Man perspective.
No, honestly, it's the Captain America's perspective. It's like you have to make the right choice. Yeah. And you can't worry about, what the consequences are. The right choice is the right choice, no matter what. And so, to me, especially because this show confronted her with all of those people that she'd been doing this to, and she'd been torturing by having them do that. And so to have her still make the choice that, and she kind of says like, well, I'm going to give you the role you chose, the nosy neighbor. Yeah. But you can see how much Agatha doesn't want that. Mm-hmm. You can see how horrific that is, and we know whether she's being tortured or not, like even if it's just like she just doesn't have any knowledge and she's just basically that's a lobotomy.
Yeah,
like that's literally what she's done. And she said, I've taken your memories away, I've taken all of your sense of who you are, I've taken it completely away, and I've turned you into a completely different person. Mm-hmm. And no, I don't think that's ever justified. I think at that point I feel like Mrs. Hart. If you're going to do that to me...
Just kill me.
Just kill me. Like, that's not... So, no, I think that is absolutely a choice that is not a heroic choice at all. Wanda makes a lot of heroic choices in this final episode. Except but that is not one. I feel very strongly that that is not a good choice to make. And I think that is planting a seed for, again... And Wanda in the comics has always... a little bit rode the line of hero and villain. And so I'm totally fine with that as their choice, but don't paint her as a perfect hero. Yeah. Because that's the type of thing that, I think I was listening to someone else talk about, like when she uses that mind trick on Agatha, that we haven't actually seen that since Age of Ultron. And someone was like, well, when you're on the Avengers with Captain America, he's probably like, cut that shit out.
Yeah. You know, like, that's true.
Like, you can't, like, that's not cool to mess with people's heads.
Not cool, man.
You know,
cool.
we fight fair around here. And so to see that type of power come back, to see her start to make these choices, she's not the Wanda that we saw in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Like, her grief has changed her. These experiences have changed her. And maybe not for the better.
Maybe not. I mean, I tend to agree, but I'm also more the Iron Man side of it all, where maybe sometimes the ends do justify the means.
Well, and I mean, I think really back to what they did in Civil War. Yeah. Is, you know, when they captured Wanda, they had her, like, in a straitjacket in a cell, and that sucked, but they didn't take her brain away.
That is true. But, I mean, again, honestly, I probably would have just killed her. I'm not going to lie. Because it's like, you're leaving a weapon of mass destruction out in the open, essentially. And I guess because my mind thinks back, that bunny is something. But so I'm going to leave this powerful witch in Raul's home, by the way, who's going to be like, who the hell are you? And then at the same time with this bunny who maybe it is like a transmutation thing, like you said, and it becomes her son, and once her son unlocks her, like, hey, mom, what's going on? And it's like, oh, that's not my mom. Hold on, fixes it. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, well, crap. Now I just have a whole thing going on.
You live here now. Where? Yeah. In what house? Yeah. Now she's just going to squat in someone else's house? Wanda?
Poor Ralph.
Come on.
Comes downstairs. What's this other woman doing back? Just got wait of her.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
Maybe,
so we'll see.
Maybe he is in Witsec and he'll be able to, you know,
it'd be cool to
be relocated.
You know what I'm wondering is
all of the mutants are in witness protection.
They are.
That's how they. That's literally the theory. Is that there are multiple mutants from the Fox universe that are part of the witness protection program.
We'll see.
And that's how they're going to be introduced.
You know what I'm wondering too is if this is how this guy, this Quicksilver, will get his powers, because he was already running around. What's it? They didn't go away.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But this has been a long one. But we recapped everything. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you on this one?
On the series itself?
Yeah, the whole series as a whole now.
I'm going to give it about a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it was solid. It was not great. It had some great moments. Mm-hmm. I think especially the stuff with Wanda and Vision really, really worked, especially the last couple of episodes where we get them together at Avengers Compound. That scene was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Their goodbye in this episode was really great. I love their connection. Yeah. I think it was really, really well acted. I do think that the story did let me down at places. You know, there were, as much as I really liked the characters, you know, and as much as I did want Hayward to just be a villain, he was a really two-dimensional villain. Like, he was just mustache twirling bad guy who's going to shoot bullets at kids without really exploring why. Yeah. And when you have 9 episodes, you have 4.5 hours, and you're not going to explain why he's a bad guy. And to a lesser extent, they don't really explain why Agatha's a bad guy either, other than she just wants more power. Yeah. Like, I think if you have that much time and you're still going to give us two-dimensional villains, that's going to knock it down for me. I didn't like the way that they... I didn't like the fake out, especially the Pietro one. That really rubs me the wrong way. Yeah. Because that does strike me as just like somebody in the writer's room, like, oh, this will be great. We'll just do this.
We're trolling everybody.
And then it's like, but I didn't feel like they really paid that off even. Like, and that was the thing, is that there was an interview with Kevin Feige that talked about, you know, that when they pitched it to him, he was like, well, we have to have a good reason why it's Evan Peters. I don't think they gave it to us. No. And
there's no good reason for him to be there.
And so, to me, again, I think that, you know, although there were certainly episodes of the show, and I would say the episode 4, 5, and 6, which is episode 4 is the one where we meet all of, like, Jimmy, Darcy, Monica, you know, the SHIELD base. We get all of that. Episode 5 is the one that is the 70s episode where the kids age up, and then we have the big fight at the end between Wanda and Vision. And then episode 6 is the Halloween episode. I think that section of the show was my favorite section. Okay. I think, again, overall, I think the show was good, not great. I think it left a lot to be desired in terms of some of the answers it gave us. Yeah. And then it also didn't give us a lot of answers, which definitely annoy me. Yeah. And so, although I love all of these characters that they gave us, and I like where it left us in terms of what we could see next. I think the show for me was overall just a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Good, not great.
Okay. I think I have to pretty much agree with you. I think 6 out of 10 is a good number for this one. And I did like in the beginning, and I think as we ended, there's so many questions that went unanswered, which I don't mind a little bit. I don't. But you gave us, I mean, if we nitpick it, I'm sure there's questions that we just didn't even think of, that there's other people out there that'll be like, oh, what about this? And there's going to be over a dozen questions that have not gotten answered. And personally, I don't think we ever will, because we're not getting a season 2. We only got so many movies coming out. I mean, we have Eternals is not going to comment on this. No. Spider-Man's not going to probably comment on this.
Although Eternals could, I guess, touch on Scarlet Witch in some way. Not necessarily Wanda, but the actual Scarlet Witch.
Which they might,
connection there.
And they might do that. We're not going to get anything in Falcon Winter Soldier. We're not going to get anything in Loki. We're not going to, obviously, the Black Widow movie, we're not going to get anything in that. So, I mean, the next time we're going to touch on it is Doctor Strange. But at this point, if you're going to try to answer some of these questions, is it a Doctor Strange movie or is it a Wanda movie now? Yeah. And that's where I'm like, I want it to be a Doctor Strange movie. I want this to be a second.
I think it will be. Yeah.
And I want it to be just more of a second class, not second class kind of thing, but just another like a co-star. That's all I want. I want her to be kind of like the next Wong. Like they're both there and they're both helping Strange. That's it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, and I think to your point about there being so many unanswered questions, it just brings me back to my earlier point, which is usually everything we've seen from Marvel up to this point has been a movie. This is the first time we've ever gotten a show. Right. And so usually that's, 2.5, maybe 3 hour experience, and you walk out of the theater and they've dropped Easter eggs and seeds for their next projects, and you're like, ooh, what's it going to be? At the end of Infinity War, we get the dusting and we get the Captain Marvel pager, and we're like, Captain Marvel! Yeah. Those are the types of things that they like to do. They like to drop in seeds for their next projects, whatever it is. But having this roll out in this way really affected that for me. Again, I think if we had gotten this all and I'd watched it all in a single weekend, I'd be excited. I'd be going like, the aerospace engineer, bro. Like, is that Reed Richards?
Is it
and now it's like we already had that conversation 4 times. Yeah. And I'm like,
and that's a good point.
I'm frustrated because we should have gotten that. You set that up a month and a half ago.
It's like the Snyder Cut. We just talk about it forever.
Don't bring the Snyderverse in here. This is the MCU, okay? Where even our mediocre projects are still pretty good.
They're still better than you.
Yeah, and I know, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, including people that watch us, that will go like, WandaVision is one of the best things the MCU's ever done. And I loved every second of it, and more power to you. I love that people have experienced it that way. It just wasn't that for me.
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of people who will connect to this because of personal grief or
a lot of people
things like
have
that.
The line from Vision, especially.
Yeah, and I totally get that. And I will say that my life, I haven't experienced as much grief as maybe a lot of other people. I still have both my parents. Yeah. All my brothers and sisters. Like I haven't. Yeah. If you talk about a show about grief coming out now, when we're a year into the pandemic, and 500,000 people in just our country have died. There's a lot of people dealing with grief, and especially new grief, and being able to process it. And if this show helped you in any way, that's awesome.
And I hope so. I hope it did help people out there. And I saw some people have posted that they love the lines, and it has helped. I have no soul, so it didn't help me one bit. I've gone through a lot of grief.
There's no way for you to.
I don't cry.
Be affected if you just don't have a soul.
Exactly.
Maybe, you could call a soul like Billy and Tommy and, just inhabit your body.
I didn't want to tell you, I'm Mephisto, really. Oh. That it's me, been me all along.
Okay. so this whole time we've been speculating that Dottie was Mephisto or Pietro was Mephisto. It was always you.
It's always been me. That's why I wasn't. That's why I'm not in there, because they never called me. My agent was like, "Yeah, you're going to be in this." And I'm like, "Oh, cool," and then they never called me back.
As the comics nerd, has Captain America ever faced off against Mephisto?
Not that I remember, and I don't think he would win.
I mean, you never know.
I don't see your shield.
He's Captain America. It's right here. It's literally on my shield.
You throw the shirt at me or what? Oh God!
I've got a frisbee. Okay, I'll just throw that at you.
Mild inconvenience.
Pretty much. All right.
Okay. Well, we're done with this one.
So
we wrapped up this
those
series.
are our thoughts on WandaVision. We definitely want to know what yours are. Maybe you think we're nuts and this show is the best ever. Maybe you think it's not very good at all. Either way, stay part of the conversation. Drop your comments down below.
Exactly.
Like, comment, subscribe. Stick with us on GYGO. We got a lot more content coming. Marvel's going to keep dropping shows, so we know we're going to be dropping reviews for Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're going to be dropping reviews for Loki, for all of the movies that come out.
Hopefully Black Widow in May. That's the target date, May 7th.
I don't know if we'll drop weekly episodes for What If when that comes out. But I'm sure we'll talk about it in some form or fashion.
Maybe we'll wait till they all come out.
The new Star Wars shows, I'm sure we'll talk about. So yeah, stick with us. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. I'm sure we will talk about the Snyder Cut in some fashion. He's going to make me watch all 4 hours of it so that I have to review it.
We will. And we will watch it.